So I'm Pam. I'm the Executive Director of Arcadia. We are a nonprofit that's dedicated to creating a more equitable and sustainable food system. What that means, equitable, everybody should be able to get the good stuff regardless of where they live or how much money they have, which is certainly not the case right now. Sustainable, it should be grown in a way that's good for the earth, good for the humans consuming it and growing it, good for the wildlife, the waterways, etc. So we do a bunch of different things, but what I'm here to talk to you about today is one part of our mission, which is sustainable agriculture. So we have a farm that actually used to belong to George Washington. It was part of his original Mount Vernon. It's his Doe-run farm, and that is now part of our farm fields. And on that farm, we have a 4-acre production farm, which we can grow up to 10 acres. And on that farm, we train military veterans who want to be farmers or think they want to be farmers or want to explore what it would mean to be a farmer. And we do this with 3 main programs. But first, let me tell you why you want to be a farmer. And Laura can also talk to you about why you want to be a farmer. The nation needs 700,000 new farmers over the next 20 years. That is, the average age of the American farmer is now 58 years old. 700,000 farmers that are currently farming are going to be aging out of the profession, dying on their tractors, leaving, selling their land to developers, passing it along to their children. And so we need to find 700,000 people to replace them. Here's the problem. In the last 2 years, the last time I counted, the nation created 1,800 farmers. This is not a replacement rate. We need to, just on average, be finding about 30,000 people every year to go into farming. I used to cover the military. I was a reporter. I spent a fair amount of time in the wars in Iraq and in Afghanistan. I covered the Pentagon from a business perspective for a very long time. It was my time in Iraq, hanging out with some Marines in Korea Village, watching them root out IEDs and seeing them sort of deal with all kinds of things that they never were trained for, and just figuring it out on the fly. And I thought, if these people can do that, they can do this. So when I got to this job, I wanted to pay back the folks who had really taken great care of me, flinging their bodies literally on top of mine, I'm told, because there was a mortar, and feeding me, and making that world open to me, and I now want to open up farming to them. So veterans and military people are about the only Americans actually tough enough for this work. We have civilians that come to us all the time and think they want to be farmers, but round about July, they quit because it's hot and it's hard. But as you all know, it's almost impossible to be hotter than it was in Iraq, wearing 100 pounds of gear with people trying to kill you, or similarly Afghanistan. A hard day farming is going to be no harder than your hardest day at boot camp, and probably a lot better because no one is yelling at you. So what we do is train military veterans, who again are the most entrepreneurial class of Americans, which I think you guys know and is sort of the idea behind this group, to become farmers. And farming is, at its heart, for most people, a small business. So what we do is we have 3 training tracks. And the first training track is the Veteran Farmer Reserve. This is for folks who are getting full-time medical care, or have a full-time job, or maybe still on active duty. It is 1 weekend a month, 12 months a year. Typically the last weekend of each month. And we bring 20 veterans and military people, active duty, and sometimes their spouses, together for a weekend at our farm. And this weekend is pretty intense. We feed you breakfast and lunch and an afternoon snack for the 2 days. We generally cut you loose for dinner, and you go back home and then come on back. We have people that have traveled and are currently traveling from Tennessee once a month for this, from upstate New York, from Delaware. I had someone who flew up from Florida last year every month, because there's something pretty magical and intensive about this training program that works really well for vets. So this Veteran Reserve program, as I said, is 1 weekend a month. We just want you to gut it out for that weekend and then contribute another, we'd like it to be 80 hours, but we're happy with 40 hours of work, either on our farm or on another farm that's farming the way that you think that you want to farm. So we have a vegetable farm. It's a young man's game, young woman's game. There's a lot of bending and crouching and lifting, and some people want to learn livestock Some people want to learn how to take care of poultry. Some people are really interested in goats. So we ask those to go find an internship, and we can help you with that and spend 40 hours to 80 hours working with them. Because what we want you to do is to find out during your year with us if this is work that you would actually enjoy doing. And the only way you're going to know that is by actually doing it more than one weekend a month. But here's what happens on those weekends. We have 4 basic components that we include in some combo in each of the weekends. And the first, it's Farm 101. We've got an incredible farm trainer named Steven, who has spent his career basically training other new farmers on everything that goes on in your head or at your desk as a farmer. Farm 101, everything that you have to know just intellectually to be a farmer. And there's a tremendous amount, and again, Laura can tell you, the breadth and depth of knowledge that you have to have, and that we will provide to you with textbooks and with lectures and with notes. So that's Farm 101. The second piece of it is farm field trips. People come in thinking one thing about farmers, and we want them to leave with a full appreciation for all of the possibilities. I've had people coming in thinking that they wanted to do hydroponics in their basement and are now running a 30-acre farm in Tennessee because they found out what they really liked was that mix of animals and vegetables, and they wanted to be able to care for their family, and they wanted to be outside. So we want you to experience and talk with farmers and develop a network so that you can really figure out what kind of farming or growing or producing works best for you. So we'll do about 6 days of those 24 training days in the year will be spent on the road visiting farms. And I think that's one of people's favorite pieces of it, because you really hear the reality of farming. We did one visit on our last field trip, and this woman laid it all out for us about how she started the farm with her boyfriend and her best friend, and then her best friend quit, and then her boyfriend cheated on her with one of her CSA customers. But she's psyched now because she is the sole owner of this incredible farm and has really pulled herself together. Farming, like the military, is a lifestyle. And so we want you to understand exactly what it means. It is not a job, it's a mission. And I think that's why most of the people that are in our program are in our program, because after leaving military service, they found that nothing else really felt the same. They wanted to continue their public service. They wanted to do something that was actually meaningful, that had inherent value to society, that was good for their families, that was good for their health, and that's why they came to us. So we do Farm 101, and we do field trips. And then the third piece that we do, which is really important, is hands-on cultivation. Because we have this 4-acre farm, and because we have a little 1-acre demonstration farm, we will get your hands in the dirt. You will have experience putting up hoop houses, weeding, tilling, working in the greenhouse. There's nothing that you will come across on your farm or in your future business that you probably haven't experienced with us alongside of you. We help you identify pests. We help you figure out how to irrigate. We have dug a well and worked on all of our infrastructure from the ground up, so we can walk you through all of that. And then the final piece, and the most important piece, is our business training. We've got a really talented business trainer that we fly in 4 times a year from California. She's both a CPA and a tax attorney, and she specializes in sustainable agriculture. So she has seen it all. She knows all of the laws and all of the rules that you have to follow. She takes you from setting up your QuickBook charts of account to what kind of tax liabilities a particular piece of land will have you. And we have locked her up for a certain number of hours for one-on-one counseling with farmers in our program who have land and are starting their businesses, so that you can get the direct kind of help that you need from somebody who really knows what they know. The final piece of our training is that business piece. And most farms, if they fail because the business fails, not because the farm failed. So we will give you the growing skills that you need, but more importantly, we will wrap your head around the business task ahead of you. And then as you move into your career in farming, if you choose to go that way, and I want to say here that it is important, another important outcome of our program is that you wash out with honor. If this is not something that you want to do, if it doesn't really work for your lifestyle, there is no no shame in saying at the end of the program, this is not for me. And in fact, we had a couple of people who have done that. And one of them is now the produce buyer for 2 food hubs up in New England. And he's using everything that he learned with us, but applying it in a agricultural related business, but not doesn't have his hands in the dirt at all. And he did that because he just had a new baby and he needed a full-time job that had health insurance, and so that's what he did. So there's lots of other things that you can do with the knowledge that we share. So that's one piece of the program. Now there's a second piece, and that's our Veteran Farm Fellowship. These are 2 on-farm paid 40-hour-a-week, year-round jobs. They last for 12 months, and they are on-the-job training programs approved by the VA so that you can access your base housing allowance if you still have GI Bill benefits left. We pay pretty poorly. It's about $10 an hour. You won't find many, if any, positions as a complete novice at farming that pays you to learn. So we're doing that. But then if you have your GI Bill benefits, you're going to be bringing in about another $2,400 per month based on this region's, based on the actuarial tables or whatever that they use at the VA to figure it out. And that's all tax-free. So $2,400 a month, I think, for about 6 months. And then I think it goes down to $1,800 for the last 6 months. We have one of our trainees right now in the program. He's in the reserve. He is 30 years Army, and he's getting out next year. And you guys might be familiar with the Career Skills Program. If you're in the military, their last 6 months, if you can get a job in the industry that you are moving into after, you can spend some part of your 6 months being paid by the DoD, but doing that job. So this guy, Paul, is going to work on our farm for the last 3 months of his military experience and then launch his own farm. He's ready to go. The final thing that we introduced this year, which is really exciting, is that it's only for graduates of our program so far. We have an incubator on our plot, on our farm, which is a farm within a farm that people who have been through our training program, and we know therefore their habits and how they're going to farm, can take over 1/4 of an acre, which is very large if you're farming alone, and start their own farms there. And we will offer them for their first year of growing a wholesale buying contract for everything that they produce so that they can focus on building their growing skills, and we can use their food either to feed the other veterans who are in the training program, we can use them with our kids programs on the farm, or we can sell them into the mobile market for sale in low food access neighborhoods, or worst comes to worst, we'll donate them and let staff take it home. But we find a place for all of that food. We just launched the Veteran Farm Incubator. We have 2 farmers from our 2017 class they started plots side by side, decided that 1/4 of an acre was going to kick their ass, so they are now farming cooperatively. They joined their businesses. I have lawyers that are working with them on a pro bono basis in order to establish their partnership agreements and their contracts, so that we, as the nice thing about Arcadia is also the hardest thing about Arcadia, is that we are scrappy and we are lean and we will figure it out, but we don't necessarily know the answer right when people come to us with a problem. But we have deep networks through the community, and we can always find support for the stuff that we need to do. So those are the 3 pieces of the Veteran Farmer Program. As I mentioned earlier, we've had 48 folks go through it. We continue, we have a listserv for everybody who's in it. We continue to push out job opportunities, land for sale, to field questions from folks. And this year, for the first time, we are able to be buying from graduates of our program. We are buying chickens from one of our 2016 graduates who's been raising them, and we're selling those on the mobile market. I'm not sure how many we've done, but several $1,000s worth of chickens. We buy eggs from one of our current trainees. So there's lots of opportunities there. And once you're with us, we never let you go.